What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So we got Devin Haney and Gabe Rosado in the news, man. If you guys don't know, it was a recent clip. I think it was with Ness from the Boxing Voice. So shout out to them, y'all. Make sure y'all go subscribe to them and go watch the video of Gabe Rosado pretty much getting into it with Bill Haney or whatnot. They were going back and forth or whatever. Bill was saying some stuff that, you know, both parties were saying, well, both said things that I didn't really agree with. But you know, I understand it. Bill is doing he's doing what's right by his son or whatnot. I will say this, man. I'm a fan of Gabe Rosado, big fan of him. I've been a fan of Gabe Rosado since 2013. I think January 2013 when he fought Gennady Golovkin. So what started it was when Gabe Rosado pretty much said that he felt like Jose Ramirez was a dangerous fight for Devin Haney, coming off of the type of loss that Devin Haney came off of. You know, coming back to fight Jose Ramirez, that's just a dangerous fight, right? And, you know, Devin Haney kind of took it to offense. They kind of went back and forth on Twitter, where Devin Haney, was talking about how Gabe got 17 losses, and, they kind of just went back and forth. Now, one thing I will say before I, speak my piece on what things that Gabe said that I didn't agree with, I will say this here. I've been following Gabe for a long time. I don't think Gabe said anything with malicious intent. I don't think he was hating or anything like that, because, I mean, truth be told, Jose Ramirez is a dangerous fight for Devin Haney. I felt the same way, Now, of course, I'm rocking with Devin Haney, but I felt the same way. And I don't think what Gabe Rosado said, I don't think it was any malicious intent behind it or anything. I think, he just stated his opinion, and I just think Devin Haney took offense to it. Now, as far as that goes, I will say, I think Devin Haney, and I understand Bill riding with Devin, and I love and appreciate that. We really need more fathers like Bill. But I think that, like, in situations like that, it's easy to take personal because boxing is not a team sport. But you still have to remember that boxing is a sport, and it has to be a loser and a winner and a loser. And in this situation, Gabe Rosado he just picked against Devin Haney. But I don't think it was with any malicious intent. Now, where I don't like what Gabe was saying as far as, like, I can't stand when people do this, man. When fighters, so you got fighters like Gabe Rosado, shout out to Gabe Rosado, right? But you got fighters like that will criticize fighters like Devin Haney by saying, well, I had to, I didn't have it easy coming up when I first turned pro. I didn't, y'all got to pick and choose, or they got to build y'all. I didn't have that. Y'all had an easy career when you first started. Bro, people don't realize how boxing works, bro. So listen, while it's true that in the pro division, once you become, a hot commodity, or you get a good backing, they will build you up. And when building a fighter, what you do is you pretty much, you get him in there, get his feet wet, let him get used to being a pro or whatnot, and then you kind of like gradually step up the competition as the fighter's career goes. Well, the thing that they fail to mention is that in order to get to that point, you have to put in the work in the amateurs. So while Gabe was saying stuff like, and Gabe's not the only person that says this, but it's quite a few people that says things like this, and I hear people say that things like if Shakur is fighting nobody, they'll sit there and say, they built you. I had to fight you were spoon fed in the pro. I had to work my way up or whatever. But listen. When you're in the amateurs, you have to put in that same type of work that these guys are talking about in the pros, like that Gabe Rosado was saying that Devin Haney, or that Gabe Rosado was saying that he had to put in earlier in his career. Devin Haney had to put it in his amateur career. That's how he got the backing that he got, and that's how he was able to maneuver the way he had to maneuver in the early parts of his career. Of his pro career. You have to go through the whole, like fighting amateur tournaments, fighting 3-4 days in a row, fighting the Olympics, or fighting for the Olympic trials, and fight. You have to go through that in order to get those back. And so while people like to say you were spoon fed in the beginning of your career, let's keep it 100. If you had to go through the work that they had to go through in the amateur, which is very tough, by the way, then you wouldn't have to be in a situation that you was in with, as far as Gabe Rosado. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, when I just really hate when people do that. Like, people forget that you know, they had to put that same drive in the amateurs, all right? And then another thing that Gabe Rosado said that I don't like is the fact that, well, I'm not gonna say I don't like, because it is the truth, whether I, you know, like what he said or not. It is the truth. But Gabe Rosado kind of like was speaking on all the fighters he fought, like, you know, and Gabe has fought everybody. You know, he fought Triple G, Charlo, you know, he fought Munguia, he fought, you know, he knocked out Beck the Bully, you know, beat Joshua Kaladi, you know, he fought, you know, a stew of people, just, you know, Willie Monroe, he fought a lot of people. But the difference in first and foremost, let me say this too, Devin Haney has, you know, fought really, really good names. And this is no slander to Gabe, because I'm a fan of Gabe. I'm still a fan of Gabe. I love Gabe. But Devin Haney has fought really good opponents as well, like, and beat them. You know what I'm saying? But the difference, the reason why Gabe was able to get all those fighters on his resume, whether he lost to him or won to him, like Peter Quill and all them, is because Gabe was basically a professional opponent. And what that means, if you guys don't know, you got fighters like Gabe Rosado, Derek Chisora. As a matter of fact, and I'm gonna say this too to back Gabe Rosado up, he was definitely robbed a lot. Gabe Rosado was robbed quite a few times in his career against Luis Arras. He should have clearly won that fight. Peter Quillen, he was coming back and they gonna stop the fight. Danny Jacobs, you could say, like, it's been a few times that Gabe Rosado has been robbed or whatnot. I'm not gonna take that away from him. The only reason why Derek Chisora hasn't been robbed like Gabe Rosado is because Derek Chisora is from the UK and they actually treat their fighters right over there. But guys like Derek Chisora, Gabe Rosado, Sergey Derevyanchenko, like, look how, like, you know what I'm saying, like, guys like that, you guys are brought in to be professional opponents, meaning that you are used as a gatekeeper. So they want to see, you're basically, what happens is they'll put you up against a high prospect and to see how good that prospect really is. And if that prospect does just enough to make it a close fight, they're gonna give it to the prospect, and that's just the ups and downs of boxing. But that's what it is. So Gabe, while yes, you do have a tremendous resume as far as guys that you fought, people that you fought. The difference between you and Devin Haney is Devin Haney wouldn't, if you would have beat all those guys, bro, that you lost against, you wouldn't even have been able to fight all those guys, just based off the fact that at that point you wouldn't even be considered an opponent. Devin Haney is not considered as an opponent. Devin Haney is considered as the A side in pretty much most of his fights, right? So that's why Devin Haney is not able to get those like all like the fights that he wants to get. He's not able to get them because he's not brought in as an opponent, bro. And that's just the sport of boxing. If you know boxing, that's how you know how they operate. That's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily think that Devin Haney should. I don't think that Gabe should be saying trying to use that against Devin, because Devin still has a very, very solid resume, a very good resume, whether people want to admit it or not. Now, I didn't like when Bill Haney was calling him a bastard and saying, because your father, I didn't like none of that. I didn't even like them getting into it, because truth be told, like I said, it wasn't worth them getting into it about. It was like, Gabe Rosado didn't say anything disrespectful to or about Devin Haney, and I just feel like they took that way out of content or whatnot. I really hate that, because I love both guys or whatnot. So hopefully, I hope they patch that up, man, because it's just I don't like seeing that, man. I don't like when fighters are disrespected, and Bill and Gabe is not a disrespectful person. Gabe is actually one of the coolest people in boxing. Very cool, laid back. He just spoke his opinion, and if you can't take everything that people say. You can't take it that serious. Like you just can't take it personal. I would say just don't take. I wouldn't take it personal, because Devin Haney at the end of the day has accomplished. He's accomplished things that Gabe has not accomplished in Gabe's, I don't know how. Gabe has had a lot more pro years than Devin Haney, and he's not accomplished he's never been a world champion, and that's true, and let alone an undisputed champion. So I just don't think Devin Haney should even take stuff like that personal, man. It is what it is, man. Like he Gabe spoke his opinion. Now it's up for Devin Haney to just prove him wrong, and that's all it is. Just prove him wrong. Guys are, and I don't understand how guys are criticizing Devin Haney for fighting Jose Ramirez, but then if Devin Haney was to fight a nobody, you guys will be bashing him for that. So it's like you can't please everybody. You know what I'm saying? But Devin, if I'm shout out to Devin and Bill, love y'all both to death. Man, like don't even don't feed into stuff like that. And and again, I don't think Gabe was saying that with malicious intent. Gabe is not a hater at all, But that's just my take. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?